Welcome to Current Issues with Dr. Kirk Meighoo for Tuesday, the 26th of February, 2019. I'm glad to have you here. We begin with today's memo. Our education system is failing us. What is your number one criticism of our education system? Is it that there's too much pressure on our children? Or that it teaches irrelevant subjects and our children aren't prepared for life or even employment? Or is it that it teaches our children mainly to become job seekers rather than entrepreneurs and job creators? Is it that our education system does not help us progress as a nation, but rather takes our best minds away from the country? I believe that our education system has failed us in all these ways and much more. And I know I'm not the only one. And I'm not talking about the PNM failing us or the UNC failing us or any other past government. I mean all of them and more. And it's not only in Trinidad, but in the entire world. Now, there's a Trinidadian, remarkably, who has taken on this problem. He left Trinidad in the 1980s to pursue his education in the United States, where he is mainly based. But after studying accelerated learning systems elsewhere, which are techniques to make people learn things faster, he developed an amazing, unique system of learning, which combined the most modern Western brain science with ancient Vedic knowledge and techniques. Now, this is the type of things that, once we are properly grounded, we in Trinidad and Tobago can do. That is, combine the East and the West, the modern and the ancient, in ways that people abroad cannot do. And he developed something called the Super Accelerated Learning Theory, or SALT. It doesn't involve memorizing, or homework, or heavy book bags. Instead, it uses the science of the left and the right hemispheres of the brain, of the understanding of long-term and short-term memory, and of altered states of consciousness to make learning quick and simple. In fact, he has developed a system where once you start kindergarten at 2 to 5 years old, you can complete secondary education at the age of 13, university at the age of 17, and a PhD at the age of 21. And anyone can do this, not just the so-called bright students. In fact, in Trinidad, Professor Ramsamooj has graduated his first batch of students from the Police Youth Club last year. In 2 years, these children received a U.S. high school diploma from the University of Massachusetts and the state of New Hampshire. This, I hope, is just the beginning of fundamental educational reform around the world. Now, tonight, I will be speaking with the father of the Super Accelerated Learning Theory and the creator of the 3R Foundation in the United States, Professor Pundit Ramadheen Ramsamooj. We'll be speaking about what is behind his SALT theory and what his plans are to revolutionize education in the entire world, with Trinidad and Tobago as one of the global starting points. But first, let's take a break for this brief announcement.
Hello, I'm Andy Johnson, inviting you to join me for This Week with Andy Johnson here on IETV, a one-hour review of the top stories of the week and the major personalities behind the news.
This Week with Andy Johnson, Sundays at 7 p.m.
Welcome back, and we're joined in studio with Professor Ramadheen Ramsamooj. Welcome.
Nice to meet you. Thank you very much.
Yes. It's your SALT theory, the Super Accelerated Learning Theory. It's fascinating. So many people are interested in it when I've spoken about it elsewhere. Could you explain for me what it is, since you're the developer of it, and why it's important?
The Super Accelerated Learning simply states that the acquisition, assimilation, and processing of information through the whole brain, through different neurological pathways, can be accessed immediately from the long-term memory. So it is a pedagogy or a theory that involves the computer-human brain in its application.
Right. So when you talk about the whole brain, it comes from I suppose a criticism. Pedagogy means the science of teaching. So that the science of teaching, you're saying, really, from what I've read of your material and from how I understand it, is that it focuses too much on the left side of the brain and in short-term memory as opposed to the right-term and long-term memory. Is that correct?
Sure. Much of the education system today is left brain oriented. Very little have been done for right brain learners and not at all for whole brain learners.
So what is a right brain learner and what is a whole brain learner? What is a left brain learner?
Through the left brain learning, it is more analytical, logical, sequential.
Things like reading, right, memorizing.
And the process
Yeah.
is linear processing.
Yeah.
Whereas the right brain, it is pictures, it is things of music and so forth. And what is happening in the right brain is that information is being processed through parallel processing. And from computer science, parallel processing is more than 300,000 times faster than linear processing.
Right.
So if we use the right brain in the learning process, we can accelerate the learning
Right.
phenomenally.
Right. So it's like the difference between what a calculator used to be and a computer, what we have now.
Right.
Yeah. So instead of treating the brain like an old-time calculator, where you do one calculation at a time,
Right.
it's like a smartphone where it's doing
Many
millions of
things
calculations
at the same
time. Right.
And so through the right brain, multitasking is possible, in which you can do many things at the same time.
Now, you are Trinidadian by birth and you went up to the States. Did you develop that theory, studying at the university at universities in the States, or how did you develop this theory?
Listen, I used to be a teacher in Trinidad.
Yes.
I used to run programs for the University of the West Indies, 31-hour program
Yeah.
in maths, physics, in chemistry, and biology. 31 hours. And have these kids write the London examination.
Right.
That was way back in the early 70s.
Okay.
It is a gift that I have had that allows me to accelerate the learning.
Right.
But when I came to the US, I did robotics engineering.
Yeah.
And I learned about thinking machines and how to program them. And so I decided to take that technology and bring it into education.
Right.
And so when I was appointed as a lecturer and a research scholar at the University of Massachusetts, they asked me to do research on my own theory,
Right.
on my own learning. And this is how I coined at the university the super accelerated learning theory.
So this super accelerated learning theory is sort of endorsed by the University of Massachusetts. Is that
Yes.
correct?
When I wrote my paper of my research, it was distributed to all the deans and all the head of the departments at the university in Dartmouth. And a copy came to the chancellor. And once the chancellor got that, and she read my dissertation, she said, "Will you be willing to implement or partner
Right.
with the university in developing this theory?"
Right.
And this is how on the 15th of August 2008, the chancellor signed an MOU and put $1.5 million in an endowment to be able to help rekindle and to explore this theory.
Right. So
there is an MOU signed with the university.
So how has your theory now been put into practice? Like, so what are the super accelerated learning theory? So how fast can you make people learn, and what have you established so far in terms of people learning fast?
One of the problems I had at the university is that they wanted me to demonstrate this theory practically. And so in 2010, I took a group of Bhutanese refugees whose language skills was between kindergarten and grade 1.
You mean in English, or you mean just in general?
In English.
Okay, but in their own language they were competent.
They came from refugee camps.
Right.
And the education that they had in these camps was, much was to be desired.
Right. So they were not bright students.
And they were
traditional
not,
way.
And they were not well versed in education.
Right.
And I took that group of kids, in 2 years' time, have them complete their high school.
So in 2 years, you made these children, how old are they?
They range from 10 years old to 20 years old.
Right. So that group you made. So that means the 10-year-olds, by the time they were 12, they had a high school diploma.
Finished high school.
Right. So, so this diploma, I understand, is given. This high school diploma is what? It's recognized by the University of
Massachusetts,
yeah,
and also recognized by the state of New Hampshire,
so
because we became a formal school with the state of New Hampshire to work on this accelerated learning theory.
And what's the name of the school in New Hampshire?
The name of the school is called the American Vivekanand Academy.
Okay. So that is the New
AVA
Hampshire
for
school.
short.
Does it have a physical building in New Hampshire?
We had,
okay,
but it was only for a short term.
Right, okay. But although you don't have a physical building there anymore, it's still
we are still recognized as a school in the state of New Hampshire.
Right. And and you've been working in Trinidad, because, I mean, I have been involved because I was so interested when I first learned about your theory, and I got in touch with you. That's how excited I was when I heard about it. So you started doing this in Trinidad.
Yes, but before I came to Trinidad, 2 of the kids from the school in New Hampshire, who were 10 or 12 and 13 years old when they completed their high school, were admitted to the University of Massachusetts in Dartmouth.
So they were 10 and 12 years old.
They were 12 and 13 years old.
12 and 13 years old, and admitted to university.
And they created history, because the first time such young students were admitted to the university.
Right.
And today, the 13-year-old has completed his master's degree in...
So how old is he now?
He is just 19.
So 19 years old, and he's finished his
master's degree.
So he has his first degree. And what subject is it in?
In biochemistry.
In biochemistry, all right.
And the younger one, who was 12 years old.
So he has so he's finishing up his master's degree in biochemistry at the University of Massachusetts.
Right, and he's graduating in May.
Okay.
And the other one, who was 12 years old, did a double major in computer science and electrical engineering.
Yeah.
And he also is graduating in May.
His first degree?
First degree. And
how old is he?
He is, in January, he completed his 18th birthday.
So at 18, he will have finished his...
University. And that is the age when children are now thinking about going to college in the United States.
Well, let me ask something about that. I mean, you've been in touch with them during the university, because
Yes.
you're at the University of Massachusetts itself. How is it? I mean, they're 12 years old at university, 13 years old at a university. How was their socialization, being at the university?
They were normal kids.
Yeah, yeah.
Actually, there were 40-year-old kids in their class,
Right.
and they were tutoring them.
Yes. Right, yeah.
So, people talk about the psychological development and things like that in children when they graduate early. There were no problem.
Right. Okay. Well, that's really amazing. And now, how about the Bhutanese children? What did they do when they finished the high school?
Some of them have gone to community college because their biggest inhibition was finance to go to university.
Right.
So they had to go to community college. Some of them have done nursing, some of them have done business and so forth. But from the school, they have done very well.
Wow. And so, I mean, and you've brought this to Trinidad.
Yes.
You've brought the program to Trinidad because,
So I came to Trinidad wanting to do an experiment with this theory.
Yes.
Because
one thing I want to just mention is that this is not just for bright students.
No, it is not for bright. It's for any kid
Right.
who is willing to learn.
Right.
Any kid. So I came in here in 2017, and I engaged with the Police Youth Club from Couva. I engaged a program of 5 weeks in which the kids will complete 5 subjects in those 5 weeks. And then in 2018, we had an MOU signed with the TTPS to further explore this academic model with the youth clubs nationally.
Right. So you started off with the Couva, and so did they have to pay to do it?
No, they did not have to pay a single cent. The police provided the food, they provided the transport, they provided some, other materials, but they provided I had some professors from UMass came down last year.
Right.
And they were provided transportation and things like that.
Right. So the students...
And the 3R Foundation contributed some money to the academic program itself.
Right. And the 3R Foundation is...
It's a foundation that I have started in 2008 to sign the MOU with UMass.
Right.
Because I was told by my colleagues that I should not do so individually, because if something should happen to me, then it will fail. But with a foundation, it will continue.
Right.
And so the 3R Foundation was established in 2008 to sign primarily that MOU, but then it became a full-fledged NGO.
Right. So now, so these children from the Police Youth Club, I mean, just to be clear about their background, I mean, they would have not been particularly bright students, I suppose, like just kind of, normal students who probably would have been in junior sec?
These kids
sec.
were very abnormal students.
Meaning?
Meaning that they come from very poor background and learning skills and schools.
Right. Well, that's kind of normal in Trinidad. I don't
There
know if
were kids in my program who were very anxious about mathematics.
Right.
They know nothing about English, but they're going to school.
Yes.
And from the program that I completed in 2018, of the 48 kids that we had in 2017, half of them came back in 2018. So we had 24 repeaters. And of
when you
those,
say a repeater, did they because it's a 2-year program.
Right.
So when you say repeaters, they had to repeat the first year?
No.
No.
It was
They
an
continued.
additional
Right.
5 subjects that they had to do in the second week. So they would have completed 10 subjects
Right.
during the 2 camps. And of those 24, 7 of them were able to get their high school diploma.
Right.
And 15 of them got their junior high school diploma according to our curriculum that we have designed in the U.S.
Okay. So how many came from, graduated from the junior high? 17, you said?
15.
15 from the junior high, which is like grade 7 and 8 in the States, is it? Is that
Grade
junior
10.
high? Up to grade 10. So grade 10 for here is what, standard 3 or something?
Standard 3 or, not standard 3.
I mean
Form 3.
Form 3 I meant. not
Form
standard.
3.
Yeah,
or
so it's
Form 4.
Right. And then, and how old were these? Well, let's say the ones that got the high school diploma. It was 7, you said?
7 of them.
So that's completing high school.
They have a high school diploma and they can go to any university in the U.S. or Canada or England.
I guess in the world,
In the
because
world.
people recognize the
It
U.S.
is recognized.
So and it's from the state of New Hampshire,
Yes.
is it? And so that certificate.
And
I
the
should have asked you to
certificate-
bring a certificate here to show people.
But the certificate
Yeah.
was not only given by the American Vivekananda Academy, it was given by the University of Massachusetts as well.
Right. So,
And also the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service signature is on that certificate.
so they could go and write SATs right now to get into university if they want.
Yes.
So they could write there.
Yes.
Right. And how old is the youngest one that has graduated?
We had a 10-year-old graduated from this program last year.
So a 10-year-old
And
has
this year,
has a university. I mean a
high school diploma.
Yeah, a U.S. high
high
school
school
diploma. A 10-year-old
A
from
10 years
Trinidad.
old.
Wow. And that 10-year-old
is
were-
writing
were they a-
SCA this year.
So they're continuing doing the so right, because you're telling me you haven't done this CXC as yet, but you are
I
going to
intend.
add a component so that not only will they get a U.S.
diploma,
they will
but
also
they can
get a
also
CXC
complete their CXC
as well.
as well.
So that's what you're adding here now. So this kind of puts some, because these children, when they do it for 2 years, it's during the July-August holidays.
Right.
So they don't have to miss. So they could go to the normal school and then go to the super accelerated learning
Program.
school as well at the
That's
same time. But yeah, so I guess then it's up to the parents to decide what they want to do
thereafter.
with the children, because there's a law in Trinidad and Tobago where the children have to be in school up until, I believe it's 16 years old, right? I don't know if it's older than that, but so even if they finish their high school at 10, they still have to be in school. So that's a very interesting thing. They're writing the SEA to get into high school, but they already have a high school degree. All right. And this is recognized by the University of Massachusetts, of the United States.
Actually,
because it's
students of AVA
Yeah.
are students of the University of Massachusetts.
right. So are any of these children going to be going to university that you're aware of?
Right now, the parents are confused.
Yeah, exactly.
What should we be doing with our children?
But
Because
and let me ask about this 10-year-old. I mean, was this 10-year-old a particularly bright 10-year-old? No, just a normal. And the whole thing is that the super accelerated learning process, it means that anybody could learn because you're using the brain in a certain way, so that it's doing parallel processing as opposed to learning by linear processing. Right? Because, I mean, I know about long-term and short-term memory, like when people smell things or they hear a song, an old song, they'll remember something out of the blue. Or if they have a certain smell, they'll remember something from when their childhood, from when they were a child. Or when a lot of traumatic events that happened in childhood never leave you. And so, you might be scared of heights because of them. You might have a lot of fears because the emotions are associated with a certain experience. So it's this type of thing that you're tapping into, except for positive learning. Is that correct?
And our presentation of information is through stories. It's emotionally packed, so that all the senses are engaged in this learning process. So it is taking into consideration all the tactile sense, the sound, the sight, the smell, the speech. All these things are involved in the learning process.
Right. So now, I have actually spoken about this on my Facebook page and talking to others, and people are extremely interested in signing up, in learning more. So how can parents sign up for this? Because you're continuing this year, correct?
This year,
yeah,
through the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service,
yes,
we are having another camp.
Right.
And we want to continue this through the MOU that we have with the TTPS.
And so that it won't, so eventually it will be more than just Couva, but
right.
The whole country.
The whole country.
Right, okay.
This camp is designed for Central Division,
right.
Of which they have something like 17 youth clubs and 10 police stations and things like that.
But for now it's just one in Couva.
So we use the site in Couva to incorporate
for the whole Central Division. So people could be coming, but children could come from anywhere, or they have to be part of the Central Youth Police.
They have to be part of the Central Division.
But you could live in Sangre Grande and register to be with the youth club in Central.
That will be kind of difficult.
Okay, so it's kind of for the Central area for now,
division.
And when the police service decides to
expand
it, then it could
divisions,
be right.
We can do that.
So that's up to the police service.
Oh. So we are planning to have again at the Couva West Secondary School our third camp, which is what the students did last year. This year they will not be doing those 5 subjects, but what the kids did in the first camp will be now repeated in the third camp.
All right. So now we have to close off. But in terms of people who are interested, they should get in touch with the youth clubs in the Central Division. Is that correct?
That is one way. Or they can get in contact with me.
How will they get in contact with you?
You can call me on my cell phone, which is 499-2359.
499-2359. Okay.
Or you can get in touch with Hemant Mahabir.
Hemant Mahabir, okay.
Because what we have done, we have set up...
And how do people get in touch with Hemant Mahabir?
I don't know right now.
All right.
What we have done in Trinidad is that we have set up the 3R Learning Center.
Okay.
It is a not-for-profit NGO, and through that organization, we are going to promote this theory.
All right. Well, we have to cut it off here, but I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of feedback about this. So we'll get the information for that institute down here as well. But thanks very much. It's fascinating, and
thank you very much.
And this could revolutionize education around the world. Well, thanks very much, and we'll be back after this short message.
We all want to save money without compromising on the best quality insurance coverage. If you are renewing your motor or homeowner insurances soon, then call us at Ekta Consultants. With over 27 years in the insurance industry, we can offer you significant savings on your insurance premiums. As agent for Guardian Group, we assure you the best quality coverage at a very competitive price. Email us at ektagroupmail@gmail.com.
We now reach the SMH segment, Scratching My Head, where we take a look at some of the absurd, crazy things that go on in our country on a daily basis. Strange loyalties. Lloyd Best thought couldn't be more relevant than it is today. We must not get caught up in the ideologies and rivalries of superpowers. We must think and act for ourselves, on our own terms and in our own interests. We must not get drawn into other people's wars. We are only pawns to them. We must have some dignity and backbone. We have our own wars, which we're refusing to fight. Because of the relentless diet of US and UK media, Trinidadians all of a sudden want to save Venezuelans. Yet, when Trinidadian fishermen are kidnapped, there's nowhere near the same amount of interest or passion. It's like Trinidadians who cry when Manchester United lose a match. It's not even our country or our city. If Guaido gets in power, I highly doubt he's going to stop this abuse of Trinidadians. We will not be his priority, as with previous Venezuelan governments. In fact, some past governments have made claims that Trinidad is still rightfully Venezuelan territory. We are falling for a script played over and over by the Americans and their media propagandists before a coup or an intervention. They sanction the country and make it abjectly poor. Then they have media reports on how evil the leader is. Don't stop the reports every day, all the time. Demonize everything you can about them. Fund foreign NGOs to have color revolutions and mass uprising because of the poverty exacerbated by the sanctions. Then whip up sentiments for war. And if that doesn't work, bring out a picture of a dead baby or a hurt baby or a threatened baby. It's the same thing over and over and over again. It's literally a script. The movie Wag the Dog with Robert De Niro and Dustin Hoffman shows it in the 1990s in Eastern Europe. It moved to the Middle East, and now it's focused on Venezuela. They manufacture these narratives, and they can flip the script whenever they want. Make the bad guy seem good one day, and make the good guy seem bad the next. In the meanwhile, the US is happy to be allies with the worst regimes one can imagine. But we are supposed to believe that they actually care about people's human rights. We must not get used in their games. We just need some stability there. Not to take sides in what is shaping up to be a civil war. That's a mess that is not going to get sorted out soon, whether Guaido and the US take over or not. Well, that's it for this week's show. Please join me again next week when we'll be looking at another current issue affecting our country and look for solutions. In the meanwhile, check out my Facebook page where you can see this and all other past episodes and join in lively discussion on this and many other current issues with me and also some of the top thinkers and public figures in the country. Take care, and I'll see you again next week.